Hey everybody, I'm back with another knife review. Today I'm going to be talking about the SOG Trident. It's not my knife, but it's on loan to me at the moment, and I like it more than I thought I would actually. It's got that assisted opening, so it opens like super quick, and it's got that funny blade shape. It's kind of an upswept, I'm not sure what it's called, but maybe a clip blade or sort of a Bowie style, I guess. So the blade's shape is kind of unusual. But what I like about it is the larger handle size, first of all. I've pretty much had it with small knives for the most part. I just find that small knives, here's the Flash 1 for example, they kind of cramp my hands, honestly. Like this does not fill my hand entirely. And I just find that my thumb gets sore if I'm doing any sort of extended use with it. So I do like sort of larger blades like this with a larger handle attached. It's very comfortable to use actually. It fills the hand really nicely. And while we're on the subject of the handle, it has this texturing here, which is kind of really not that effective, honestly. It's kind of smooth. You can slide your hand very readily along it. What I think would have been more effective, though, what I've noticed is if you sort of turn it this way with the texturing and slide your hand this way, you get a little bit more sort of grippiness. So I think it would have been more effective for them to sort of turn those texturing around and make it sort of vertical instead of horizontal, and I think that would have given you a little bit more traction. The jimping on the knife is really nothing special. I mean, it's nice to have it there, but I found that this knife does not lock in that well actually. And at the risk of kind of destroying my desk here, if you kind of push down and really push hard, you see your hand starts to slide on it. So I don't think that this would be a good knife at all for a sort of defensive use, despite the length of the blade and all that. So let's talk about the blade shape for a minute. It's sort of that, you've got that sharpened sort of swedge or whatever on the top of it there. And I kind of like that blade shape. It's interesting and it's different than what you normally get with something like a Flash 1, for example. It's just very kind of standard. Nothing wrong with that, but every once in a while it's good to try something different. It is AUS 8, so it's really not the best blade steel in the world. But I find that some manufacturers actually, like Cold Steel for example, and SOG, like they kind of just stick with AUS 8 and that's basically all they have to offer. I mean, I may be off on that, but every knife I've ever seen from those two companies has been AUS 8, despite the fact that some of the knives are kind of pricey. I think that the cutting surface of this blade is going to be really effective actually. Like the belly is perfect on it, so I think it's great for sort of EDC, and also the tip is very sharp, so as sort of a tactical knife I guess that would probably be an advantage. So what about the lock? Okay, so it's this funny arc lock that kind of more or less resembles the Benchmade Axis lock. And I'm not a huge fan of this knife, but there's nothing wrong with it. I am able to close it one-handed. So it's nice to have that, the ability to close and open your knife one-handed. It's not the easiest thing in the world, and certainly for lefties it's not going to work very well. So it's not a truly ambidextrous knife. But it does have thumb studs on both sides, so that's something at least. Something that this knife has is kind of cool. It's this cord cutting feature that's built into the handle there. You can see that the blade kind of pokes through just a little bit. So I do have a little bit of cord here. It's just some like jute twine. I don't want to cut up my 550 cord, but I'll try cutting a little bit of this with the feature. I've never tried this before, so I may kind of not do it well on camera, but we'll see. So you just kind of pull, and you know what? It's not even working for me. I got kind of like halfway through the cord, and it started to like bend the clip. So I'm not gonna do it all the way there. So it's kind of funny. I've heard complaints about that feature. It's really not the best. And yeah, truth be told, it's not. So I don't know. It's like, why would you even put that feature on a knife if it's not going to be useful? Not too sure about that. So the pocket clip is good. It's like that deep carry SOG pocket clip. It's a little different than the one you see on the Flash series, because this one does not have the logo on it. But in terms of like the deepness of the carry, it's more or less the same, you know, which is kind of cool actually, to have like a larger knife that's lightweight, that is going to hide well in your pocket. Not that we need to like hide our knives necessarily, but I do think it's a good thing to be like low profile whenever possible. So the weight of the knife is very reasonable actually. It's like 3.6 ounces, I believe, which is very light actually. I think when the amount of weight in ounces is lower than the blade length in inches, I think that you've got a very efficient design. Part of that, of course, is there's no steel liners inside the knife. You probably can't see that very well, but yeah, it's just a plastic handle, so I guess it will flex a little. Actually, it doesn't really, like, you know, it's very strong plastic handle. They do make this in other handle colorations, which I don't have, but they have like a camo coloration, and I think they have like a brown blade and a black blade. But SOG, whenever they change the handle color away from black, it pretty much gets into the combo edges, which I don't really like at all. And of course it adds cost to the knife too. So what I would say about this knife is it's not a knife that I would necessarily purchase for myself. It's on loan to me, and I'm very grateful for that. But you know, it's kind of a cool knife. I'm surprised actually how much I like it. Like I guess it's just trending towards the kind of knives that I like these days, sort of larger knives that are light at the same time. But it's not a knife I would buy for myself. That funky blade shape would just be, you know, I would spend my money elsewhere first of all. But you know what, like when you actually get the knife in hand and you use it and you you know, just feel the ergonomics, despite the fact that that blade shape is kind of weird, I think it would be excellent, really. It's just, you know, does that style appeal to you or not, kind of thing. It opens like super fast with the assisted opening, so that's cool. All the SOG knives open really fast actually with the assisted opening. It's very nice. And I got the Flash 2 here as well. I think that of these knives we're looking at, the Flash 1 is brand new actually, so I haven't really formed an opinion of that yet. But I think I kind of like the Flash 2 the best, honestly. Like it's sort of that perfect balance. You can see that it sort of fits nicely between those two knives. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of like extreme things really in either direction. I kind of like moderate, you know, balanced designs and things like that. Okay, so let's just talk about the price of this knife, because all of those things aside, like I wouldn't buy it normally just because of the things I said. But if I was considering buying it, I looked up the price at my local store, and it's about $85 for this knife here. Just the satin finish with the black handle. No special features, nothing at all. If you want the camo handle with the black coated blade, that comes in at about $103 with taxes, of course. So when I read that, I was like, oh my god, you know, there's a lot of knives out there that I could buy for, you know, somewhere between $85 and $100 that I would much rather have than this knife. You know, I mean, let's be real, right? It's a plastic handle. It's a AUS 8 blade. The design is okay, but it's not like the best design I've ever seen, and you know, it is what it is, right? So I mean, the first knife I'm going to show you as an option is just the Bird Caracar 2. I talk a lot about that knife because I love it, you know. I think it's like super high value, great ergonomics, you know. Go check out my review if you really want to know more about how I feel about it. But you know, I think that knife stacks up against this one fairly well, actually. The blade steel, I mean, yeah, this is made in China, so whatever, right? Like, who cares if it's a good product? But I mean, the blade steel is comparable, I would say. The handle, same thing, it's plastic. You know, the pocket clip on this is really good too. Maybe it's not quite as cool as the SOG one, but that's sort of open to interpretation. The texturing is better on this knife, without a doubt. And the lock is probably stronger. Like I think that back locks are stronger, and this is super fast. Like, it's not an assisted knife, so that's you know, something that probably factors into the cost of that a little. But why do you need an assisted knife, period? Like, all it's going to do is sort of raise attention if it's ever discovered by an authority. And you know, manual knives like this, they open super fast, so you know, what's the deal with that? I'll show you the Endura as well. And this knife is still cheaper than that one. Honestly, you could probably buy both those knives for the price of this one, which I think is pretty amazing, honestly. When we talk about value, you know, the Endura versus the Bird, I mean, obviously they're very similar knives, but the blade steel is better on this. The handle's a little cooler. You know, it's made in Japan, so that's great, and it's actually an authentic Spyderco. So what would you take? Would you take this SOG Trident with the funky design, you know, the AUS-8 inferior blade steel to the Endura, and kind of a funky lock as well? Like, I don't know anything about the strength of this lock. I don't really like it that much, to be honest. You can close it one-handed, which is good. But what I don't like is how it kind of just bangs around in the handle like that. To me, it just seems flimsy. So maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm not sure. I'm not like a lock expert or anything. I just know what I like. So, you know, and then the other thing that I'll show you is just like another SOG knife, you know. Here's the Flash 2, and this will be quite a bit cheaper. This will come in around 50 bucks, I think, plus or minus. And I would say you get pretty much the same features or benefits or whatever as having the Trident, but obviously it's a lot cheaper. So I'm not like a SOG nut for sure, despite the fact that I seem to have a few blades here. I've got 2 SOG knives that are my own and 1 SOG knife that is borrowed to me. I definitely would not be in a hurry to buy more SOGs. I really love the Flash 2. I think it's one of those like perfect knives, almost like the Endura is to Spyderco, the Flash 2 is to SOG. Just a really good design and user-friendly and all that stuff. The Flash 1, I haven't formed an opinion yet because I just got it yesterday, but I like it so far. For a small blade, it's pretty sweet. The Trident, obviously it's on the big end, you know, not sure that I would recommend it necessarily. If you really like it, if you like the design and you just want to try something different, go for it. But if it's me, there's a lot of things I would rather spend my money on for $85 to $100. Thanks for watching.